Good morning and welcome to the episode of the Ad Drop Podcast. As we continue our spin through the world of college athletics, today we preview the Missouri Western State University softball team. With me is their head coach, Nicole Thompson. Coach Thompson, how are you doing this morning?
Good, good. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. Now, you have an interesting path to move to Western. You had just finished coaching a conference champion in Regis. What was that leap of faith like moving from Colorado to Missouri?
Yeah, you hit it right there. The leap of faith was definitely it. I knew Regis in Colorado was home to me, but I think it was a good challenge for me and a next step for my family and my career. And making that leap and finding a new home, it was really important for me to find things that really set to my core. And Missouri Western State was a lot of that with a competitive culture already. I love my admin. They're very supportive. We have great facilities. And then just a team that was, still coming off a successful tradition-rich program, and that really made that jump feel a little bit more at ease and comfortable, and really what was next for me in God's eyes, I think.
Was the biggest adjustment in the move so far?
Yeah, well, we just got hit with a huge snowstorm, so can't say that the weather is anything different as of right now. But I think the biggest tradition or change, is just, kind of going back to the basics. At Regis, I was, had some players with me for 4 years, and that transition of going through fall of not having to have just a whole new team, and I could have relied a little bit on my seniors and my leadership that I've had. And this year was, I'm stepping into everything new, a new team that didn't know me and my coaching philosophy. Recruiting a little bit different of some different avenues out here, different hot spots. And so I think it just keeps me on my toes every day, and I've been thankful for that. And like I said, Missouri Western has been so supportive in every direction that I've taken. And so I'm excited to see where this year goes and moving forward.
You played both softball and basketball in college. Which could you do right now if you had to go put on either basketball or cleats? Could you play in a three-game series in softball, or could you play in back-to-back games for basketball?
Oh, softball, definitely. I don't know if my body can do basketball anymore. I know I always make the joke of I don't even know or want to know what my body is going to feel like in the nor years I age here. I still try to, if the girls need a step in on a base runner, or I pitch to the kids. Clearly, I'm hitting fungo every single day, so I definitely think I could go and play some softball now. I still will be definitely sore afterwards, but yeah, I think my body could handle the softball intake a lot better than basketball.
Stand-up career. What was it about the coaching bug, being a coach that kind of drew you into the profession?
It's contagious. I also think softball gave me a path to where I'm at as a person right now, and I wanted to give that back to a generation. And I had my coaches and my softball experience truly shape me for the person that I am. And I wanted to be able to do that to a group of young women. And it's really empowering to see, some girls that I get as freshmen or as transfers, and they leave me and, they're ready for their next chapter of their life. And so I think that's a lot of things that have kind of lost in sports a little bit of like, you do learn some life lessons and to help you in that next chapter. And I definitely think coaching helps me with that. I also think it just, it kind of feeds my competitiveness. I've always been a competitive person. I hate losing. And so getting that into coaching, you get something new every single day and preparing for your next opponent, whether it's at practice, whether it's, pushing your own team. I always want to be better the next day that I'm out on the field or in the office. And so I think coaching really gives me that itch of being able to kind of have that competitiveness in my daily life every single day.
What was the greatest piece of coaching advice anyone ever gave you?
Ooh, that's a good one. Um, I think my biggest and best advice from a mentor is like, just staying true to yourself. And yes, you're gonna have to. change with the generations and change throughout the years. And, some things are going to move forward faster than you probably want it to be. But I still think I have some non-negotiables that have made me the person that I am and the coach that I am. And I think that's been the biggest thing of like, staying true to that and trusting that process and believing in myself of that. And, even the days that get tough, you kind of go back on those foundations, and I think that's been really helpful throughout my transition and throughout my years as being a head coach.
How do you establish kind of a balance in life where you're a coach, but you're also a parent? How do you do that to avoid burnout?
Yeah, I think definitely finding that core family support around you. I have a wonderful husband who understands the grind. He honestly probably lives it just side to side with me of watching games, and we come home and we talk about things. But having that, finding that love outside of softball, that it's okay to, put the phone down for a minute. It's okay to, not hit every recruiting trail. I think taking this time here around the holidays is big for me of, going to see family, having kind of these 2 week of like, okay, I know I'm about to get into a crazy part of my year. And I usually do that with my assistants of like, okay, hey, like, let's take these 2 weeks, really be with family and friends and find those, I guess too, those habits or find those passions outside of softball. I love my 4-year-old. So being able to do things with her outside of softball, really brings light and makes me kind of settle down and recharge a little bit. But I definitely think, making sure that you have that balance of when to really go hard and really when to push and when there's those times that, hey, we're working hard and we don't want to stop versus being able to have that family surround you and help support you throughout those times.
In your recruiting, we all know coaches want height, strength, speed, all the measurables. What intangibles, as you mentioned, are non-negotiable when you're trying to find players to suit up for you?
Yeah, I think that's a big thing that's getting a lot more into recruiting just with the transfer portal of, you get these kids on there or you now go to all these club sports, but we do a lot of diving into it. Like we tell our recruits like just as much as they do research on us and it's an interview process for us. It's honestly the same way. I want someone who, has a very high character. We want good people, period, at Missouri Western. And we want people that want to be good teammates. And those are intangibles that aren't going to be scaled, on the field. I want someone that wants to work just as hard as I do and can meet my passion in not just softball, but in life. And, those are those people that are going to, go 110%. But I think also too nowadays is just as big as if we can find some people that want to hold themselves accountable and, in a team sport. I think that's big right now of pushing. We try to have our kids be, a team led team, and that's really hard if, the intangible of the accountability isn't there. And so I really search for that. And then I think lastly too of, kind of going back to just, being a good person, loyal, when people aren't watching you, are we doing the right things on and off the field? And having a little bit of leadership skills. We want to build up these strong young women to, get ready, like I said, off the field into their next chapter. And I think that's an intangible that they can really use later on in life.
Look at social media. For all of its advantages, there are certain disadvantages too. Have you found that, like you said, when you research a player, when you're looking at social media, that automatically becomes, or does that help to solidify your opinion?
Yeah, I think it can go both ways. We tell our kids on our roster right now that even if you're here and committed, like what you put out there, it's out there for forever. Even if you decide to delete it in 10 seconds, like someone's probably gonna have it. And just of having kids be very cautious and knowledgeable of it, we want them to be able to speak their mind and have their opinion 100%, but being in a way that's going to represent yourself and our university in a good way. And I say that to my recruits of like, you're trying to put yourself out there in the best light. And we want it to be honest, but if I click on something and it doesn't match up with my, philosophy or, we go back to saying that we want good people and great teammates. And we see this, we have a really good culture and we don't want, one sour apple to come in here and burn that. And so I think it goes hand in hand where, these kids use it as a recruiting platform and to be able to present themselves, but they need to also know that can go both ways very easily.
You've won every place you have coached. How do you keep humble and kind of keep the same hungry mindset game to game, year to year?
That's a good question. I think, setting those goals each year, not only as for myself as a coach, personally, but, also seeing realistically where our group is and where do we need to get better. Where do we need to hit the recruiting trail a little bit harder? At practices, what do we need to do? And so I think the staying humble and, coming off of the year that I had, it was a great experience and it's something that I will cherish forever. But it's just made me kind of dig a little bit deeper of like, okay, what's next? What now can I do? And I think that opened just kind of just a vision for me of, putting my goals this year of pushing myself to be a better coach on and off the field and finding new ways. I think too, now we have so many things that are changing in the game of softball, just like in every other sport of, finding ways to get better that maybe I didn't think of last year or in my past. And if there's 1 inch that I can do to get a little bit better, I think my mindset of, my competitiveness, my work ethic, that's probably never going to change. And um, of just finding that group of girls, which I have here at Missouri Western and my admin to support me in that vision and moving forward.
Now, being coaching and playing at altitude and then going to Missouri where there's less altitude, I guess, a lot less altitude. Is that much of a difference being like from what people say? Is it that much of a change going from playing altitude to playing, I guess, flatland?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I definitely saw a little bit of it this fall. The humidity was, we were still up in the 80s when we started playing and honestly, I brought some kids clearly from my Regis team and they were some of our big time hitters at Regis and in the RMAC and they would definitely get a hold of a ball and I'm like, oh yeah, that's out. And it's right there in the field. And so, once the climate kind of changed it throughout the fall, I kind of could see of like, okay, it's not, I would say horrible or of a change. But you definitely could tell, that in the RMAC offense was a very big part of that conference and the MIAA, it's very different where pitching is kind of a stability. And I think that goes a little bit with the climate. I wouldn't say totally. I would say if you ask my kids coming and running and exercising, and that's a little bit different of, not having the altitude of, of that body strain on you that way. So I'm curious. I think it will be fun to see that in this first year of if it, is a little bit different, where our home runs are compared to where I was at, and kind of compare it a little bit, especially with the kids that I brought over.
Your Our Broncos are in the playoffs. What was that like seeing a team that, to be honest, was have been bad for so long actually kind of turn it around?
Woo! They did not make it easy this year, I'll tell you that. But I am a Bronco diehard through and through, even throughout all the bad years that we've had. So I definitely think Denver deserves this. It's been fun to see, Bo Nix and a new coaching staff kind of come in and take that and uplift our rich tradition and um, it's kind of very similar of like last year where I was at Regis. We hadn't won or gone anywhere since 2015, and kind of similar here too of like, hey, we've been right there. This group is right there. They have all the stuff to get you there, and how do we now push it over into that postseason? And so I think it was really fun to see yesterday of them find a way, and it's kind of a little bit of a joke because at Missouri Western we host the Chiefs. Training camp every fall. And so, yeah, it's a fun time, I guess you can say for me, being a diehard Bronco fan, being around it. But it's been a cool atmosphere to see us be able to host the Chiefs. We help out with the parking. It's a huge thing for St. Joe and Missouri Western, and very thankful for it. But it was very fun to see them get in that last playing spot over the Chiefs yesterday.
The head softball coach at Missouri Western State University, Coach Nicole Thompson. Coach Thompson, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Agile Podcast.
Thank you.